What does Jesus do the day before his crucifixion? That's what we're going to find out today in John 13. Well, this is Jill from the North Woods, going through the Bible one small step at a time. This end of the gospel stories always just breaks my heart. It's always so hard to watch this. And we're gonna do it one more time together. So essentially, we are right before Passover, the day before Passover, and Jesus is having a meal with his people. We saw Jesus was anointed in the last chapter by Mary, hailed as king, predicting his own death. And now we're going to see what happens next. And John opens up with the fact that Jesus knew his hour had come to depart this world, and he loved his own here on this earth. We kept hearing many times that my time has not come. My time has not come. Don't tell anyone my time hasn't come. Well, it's about to come right now. Jesus is at the meal with his disciples, and not many details are given about the Passover supper. Because John, we feel, was written so much later than the other Gospels, he would have read, maybe for up to 40 years, the other Gospels' renditions of it. He would know. We already talked about this. We already wrote about this. We already know what's going to happen. He's now looking for this deeper focus. This is the heart of what Jesus has in his final hour. And it said that even at the time of the supper, Satan had already entered Judas's heart. We even got hints of it. That last chapter, he was angry about the money. We know not everything is right with Judas, and probably hasn't been for a while. Whenever we let something take over in us, that's a crack for Satan to get in. It's a way of, think of bitterness, resentment, anger, all those things are places where Satan can seep into us. And money, that's where Satan was seeping into Judas, but it had already done so. And Jesus knew that God was in control of everything, that he was doing God's will, and he was about to go back to God. So his worry or his concern or his sadness for everything that he sees around him is not about his lack of faith. It's about, I think, knowing what's going to happen to the people around him. It's his human side being expressed in him, not sadness for himself, but sadness for everything that is about to happen. And then the most unthinkable thing happens of all. He gets up, removes his outer garment. He would have had an inner cloth kind of robe, an outer robe, which would have been a color more ornamental, maybe a sash around him. He takes out that outer garment. He wraps a towel around himself, and he begins to wash the feet of his disciples. Back in this time, and even modern times, foot washing was the job of the lowliest servant on the world. Roads are dusty and dirty. Sandals were crude and very open. This was a degrading task, but here is the Son of God kneeling and doing this. Even when I was in Israel itself, the feet were considered the lowest part of the body. If you showed your foot, like if you put your foot up on your knee and you showed someone the bottom of your foot, it was an insult. We were told specifically not to do that. And as I mentioned before, that if you wanted to insult someone, you said Ibn Ghazan, which is Arabic for son of shoe. It is the lowest part of the body. And that's what is happening here. We see Jesus pour water into a basin to wash their feet. It's interesting because I was just watching The Chosen. We just went through this, that we think who it is Mark, was carrying a water basin. And Jesus said, go find the man who's carrying a thing of water, which is women's work, and then tell him the Lord needs the space for his meal. Is this the very water that Mark was carrying, or whoever the boy was carrying? He was carrying, not knowing it was going to be used to wash the feet. Peter protests, well, Lord, are you going to wash my feet? And Jesus replies, unless I wash you, you have no part of me. Then Peter swings around, right? Bold guy. Well, then not my feet, my hands, my head, to do it all. And he's teaching the spiritual truth. He goes, you're clean, but not every one of you is clean. Referring to Judas. This is not about hygiene. This is about what's going on in the soul. A humble service, a spiritual cleansing, and identifying, as a servant to all. And that's the important part of the message, is that we are supposed to serve each other. If Jesus can serve us, we can serve everybody, no matter what the task is. And he tells them that this should be an example, and saying that the people who are followers are not greater than their teacher. You're not greater than I am, but look at what I'm doing. I am being a servant to all. That's what you should do. You should do likewise. The servant is not greater than the master. The messenger is not greater than the one who gives the message. That's his relationship with God as well, even though he's equal with God. But it's also about him and his apostles. And it means that if I'm doing this humble service, you should be doing this humble service as well. But then he says that, I've chosen you. I know all of you, I've chosen you, but one has raised his heel against me. Again, a foot analogy, meaning that they are better than you are because they're sort of putting their foot above you. Their lowliest part is above you, and gives them an indication. The one who eats my bread, we talk about that in other gospels, whoever dips the bread, whoever eats this piece of bread, that's why. And why I'm telling you all of this is so when you see what's about to all happen, you will believe that I am he. I am Yahweh. I'm telling you all this so you know what's going to happen. And those who believe in me, believe in God. And those who receive me, receive him. And those who receive me, receive him who sent me. So this is a whole chain of all of this. The disciples start looking at each other. "Well, who's going to do this? We saw this. Is it I? Am I going to be the person? Did I do something that I'm not thinking about?" The chosen did this in a very special way, I think, because each of them sort of saw places of joy, places of doubt. In each of them, they're sort of reflecting on each of their lives. And he is telling them that someone is betraying them, and they're all sort of having doubts about themselves. Is that all of it? Is this what's going to happen? And this moment of intimacy, I guess, this final gesture towards Judas, he gives him this piece of bread. Satan enters him, it says. And Jesus tells Judas, "What you're about to do, do quickly." The room doesn't understand again. They're thinking, well, did you give him some money to go do something? Did you give him an errand? But Jesus knows. Judas knows. Judas gets up and leaves. And it was night. And then Jesus says, the Son of Man is glorified. God has glorified him, and God will glorify him in himself at once. These are kind of confusing phrases. And I think the average person sitting there would go, what is he talking about? What is happening right now? And that's exactly how the chosen shows it, is that they are just perplexed about what all of this means right now. Judas left. Someone's going to betray him. And now this message about being glorified. And he says that he's only going to be with them a little bit longer. And he's going to tell them what he told the Jews, that you'll look for him and you're not going to find him any longer. He's going away. And then says, I have a new commandment. Love one another, just as I have loved you. That's the idea. We are supposed to love each other in the same way we love God. And that's the commandment, the sign. All people will know you are my disciples if you've loved one another. Not just, I think, each other as apostles, not just our study group, not just our doctrine, not just our denomination, not just the people in my country. It's not even about knowledge. It's about love. That's how we will be known. We have done a poor job of getting into quarrels with each other and worship styles over small things. I'm not saying theology is a small thing. Sometimes people do go astray in what they're saying, but instead, Jesus calls us to agape love, that sacrificial, self-giving love that Jesus shows for us. It's enduring, and we don't often do that for each other. And so, like I said, in the show, they're and you could just probably imagine they're just so confused. Well, wait a minute. Where are you going? If we can't come, Jesus says, where I'm going, you cannot follow now, but you'll follow later. And Peter's like, I will lay my life down for you. Bold Peter, right? He's going to do it. He's going to lay down his life. And Jesus responds, will you really? Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. And Peter's like, no. I think he meant well. He just wasn't ready. He didn't know what was about to happen. He wasn't about to know that failure was coming his way, but so is restoration. Restoration is also coming his way. And we'll see that talking about next in chapter 14, where Jesus will comfort their troubled hearts. That's where it's going to be. We're going to see him comforting them. And this road to the cross, you think, if I was getting set to the cross, I would need comforting, but instead Jesus is looking to comfort others. That's the power of God right there. And what I'm going to meditate on this week is the idea of this foot washing, about how can we do that? I think we think of literal foot washing, but it's about doing something lowly, quiet, thankless, something that's below our position, cleaning up something we're not asked or we shouldn't have to clean up, praying for someone who maybe hurt us, doing something as a measure of grace, as a measure of service to someone else. And what I'll pray for is that heart of keeping the enemy, keeping Satan out of my heart, leaving no crack, no space, no pride, no betrayal in me that'll let Satan in. I think that all of us are affected by Satan in this world, of course, but are we giving him ways to better get a hold of us? And we do those actions. A lot of time when we're talk about God and what he said, what Jesus said to us, it was not about doing works towards our own salvation. It's about protecting ourselves and protecting others around us. We don't want to give Satan a crack. We don't want to give Satan a crack in somebody else. And so when we are acting as his disciples, following what he told us to do, despite how hard it is, we're ready to keep Satan out and to do what Jesus speaks for us to do. And what I'm going to share with others is this idea that the King of Kings, the creator of the world, the Lord Almighty, knelt like a servant and washed dirty feet. That to serve is to follow Jesus, is to love like he loves. And that's a reminder for all of us. All right, everyone, thanks so much. I appreciate you watching, listening, however you're getting this. Please remember, you can always email me at jill@startwithsmallsteps.com. I'd love to hear from you. Please pray for me, pray for you too. And remember to just take this week and think about humility, love, and that deep faith. And we'll talk to you next time on John 14.